Have you ever wondered why you self-sabotage? Have you ever looked back at something you did or didn't do and seen that it was in direct conflict with your goals, your hopes, your dreams, and you can't figure out why you keep tripping yourself, literally? But what if there was a reason that you self-sabotage? What if all of those self-limiting and self-defeating actions actually came from a very positive place? Would that change the way you look at it? Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your habits, routines, and behaviors is hard. We make it easy. I'm Paul Leviton, and I help high achievers just like you who feel stuck to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Traditional self-help doesn't work. It's either too rigid, too generic, or too overwhelming. My approach is different. I simplify change by making it so easy it can't not happen. Using my easier framework, I help you create habits, routines, and behaviors that stick, so you can stop struggling and start thriving. It's that easy. I have a folder in the Notes app of my phone where I just put random thoughts, quotes, things I read, things that stand out to me, things that pop into my head. And sometimes they're full-fledged thoughts, and sometimes they're just a word. I was scrolling through that folder today looking for inspiration around what to talk to you about. And I came across this sentence, and it simply says, all behavior is functional. That's it. All behavior is functional. And while I don't know what the headspace I was in when I wrote that was, or when I came across it, I do know what it brought up for me immediately when I read it today. And that is that we never do bad on purpose. Something that I've said to you many times over the years is that everything is up to you. This is something that I try to build my entire life on. The concept of extreme ownership. If you've ever read the book by Jocko Willink, we own everything, the good, the bad, because no one can change anything for you except you. We have to own any issue, any problem, any win. We have to own it all if we want to put ourselves in a position to potentially change it. And I believe in that. And that actually led me to create my first ever course. Some of you may remember the course I launched a few years ago called Quit Quitting: How to End Self-Sabotage. The concept being that everyone knows how to start, but not everyone knows how to finish. We quit on ourselves. We quit part way through. We start a diet, we start a workout, we start a new business, we start a relationship, we start going to therapy. And then, to paraphrase Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld, yada, 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 we give up and we quit. And that yada, 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 in my thinking those years ago, was self-sabotage. Whatever it was, because only I am in control of my destiny, because only you are in control of your destiny, if I decide to quit, to give up, the only thing that could lead to that is self-sabotage. If you decide to give up, that would be you sabotaging yourself from your dreams, your goals. And while I do still agree with that in part, and I do think that there's a lot of validity to that, I do still hold on to that we are the drivers of our own destiny, that you are the one who is going to make you win, and if you lose, you are the one who is going to make you lose. I do believe that. Where I've started to shift my thinking more recently is around the why behind the what. And this brings me back to that sentence, all behavior is functional. Why would we take self-sabotaging actions? Hey, 1 second before we continue. If you're enjoying this episode, if you're learning something from this show, if you're catching yourself saying, man, this is so helpful, this Paul guy is pretty smart. First of all, thank you. But secondly, if that is you, you might have asked, how can I work with Paul? Can he help me create the change I've been looking for? And if you have, you're in luck. Because after 12 years as a coach, both in person and online, for the first time ever, I'm opening up my calendar specifically to talk to you, my podcast listener. Use the link in the show notes to book a completely free coaching session. If you need help with nutrition, fitness, motivation, mindset, basically anything that goes into building your happy, healthy life, then I want to talk to you. Click the link in the show notes and let's chat. I created this podcast to help, and now I want to go deeper. This is the first time I've ever offered anything like this, and I don't know how long it'll last or how long I'll be able to keep doing it, so take advantage while you can. All right, now let's get back to the show. Why would you stop yourself from doing something? So if you're dieting and you're losing weight, why do you stop that and go and eat the junk food that you were eating before? If you stopped smoking and you were so proud of yourself, you quit for 3 weeks, 3 months, why do you go and pick up that cigarette again? If you stopped drinking, if you started working out, why do you stop doing that? Whatever the thing is, we're good until we aren't. And while we can bucket all of that as self-sabotage, it is, I think that it's important to understand that there is a reason that we do those things. And we do those things because all of those things are functional. That's what I mean. Everything that you do, even things that in the long term or even the short term are theoretically negative to you, are still functional in the moment. You don't smoke cigarettes because you're trying to get cancer. You smoke cigarettes because it feels good in the moment. You don't stop your diet that was helping you lose weight so that you can gain weight back, beat yourself up, and tell yourself what a loser you are. That might be the ultimate end result of it, but that's not why you do it. You do it because dieting is hard and you really wanted a piece of cheesecake. So I think that this understanding that everything you do is functional, everything you do is positive, at least in that moment, is extremely powerful. It was for me when I first understood it because it allows me to give myself much more grace. I don't have to beat myself up about things because nothing that I do is wrong. Nothing that I do is bad. Everything that I do serves a function. Even something that is negative. Let's take something really bad, like an adult yelling at or even hitting their child. Now, obviously, there's no excuse for that. There is no excuse for that. But then again, why would you do something that there is no excuse for? Why would someone do something that is so across the board seen as bad? Every person that sees someone yelling at their kid or being aggressive with their kid in the grocery store knows that that person is shitty. So why would that person do it? Well, that's because to that person, somewhere in their subconscious, in that moment, that is the right thing to do. They think that they're helping that kid learn. They think that they're saving a bigger meltdown that is going to come in the future. They think that they just don't have any other options. But no matter what, the most negative action that we see is still something that they are doing from a place of positivity and function. They're doing it for what they believe to be good reason. Now, again, this doesn't change the actual outcome or impact of that thing. It doesn't actually make it good, but that's the whole point. You quitting your diet, even though in the moment it is functional in the sense that it gives you a reprieve from eating foods that you maybe don't like, or it allows you to go out and binge drink with your friends on a holiday weekend when your diet you weren't drinking on or something like that. Although it gives you that momentary satisfaction and it does serve a function, we can juxtapose that with the real outcome of these actions. And this is exactly how you start to break yourself out of these patterns. If you've been that person who always starts and stops and starts and stops, this is why this is so important. Because you can look at any negative action you're taking and ask yourself, what is the positive I'm getting out of this? And this is exactly what I do with my clients in real time. So when I'm on a client call, they're like, oh man, I just did blank. I know I told you I was going to submit this for review with my boss. I do some executive coaching. I knew I was going to submit this for a review with my boss, but I didn't do it. Or with my health and wellness coaches, I told you that, my goal was to eat like this over the week or to exercise this much or to change my sleeping patterns like this, but I didn't do it. So what I'll ask in those situations is, what was the good you got out of doing that? What was the good you got out of staying up 3 hours later instead of going to bed like you promised yourself you would? Because there's obviously, we know the bad. You beat yourself up. You feel negative about it. You have shame. There's a lot of negatives. But what's the good you got out of it? And it's easy to think, well, there is no good. It's only shameful. But if there was no good, you wouldn't have done it. You only do things that have some function. So inherently, whenever you're taking an action, you can look at it and say, this must do some good. Eating an entire pint of Ben & Jerry's, even though I know it's bad for me, does some good. It tastes really good. It gives me joy in that moment. So I ask my clients, I say, what is the good that you got out of this? What is the positive of breaking your diet, of not doing the work you said you were going to do, of scrolling on TikTok instead of going to bed? It's momentary enjoyment. It's momentary pleasure. It's momentary whatever. Okay, great. Now that we see that, now we say, okay, what are the negatives? Well, I feel bad about it. I've lost progress. I've lost face in front of my boss. Okay, now we can look at those things and say, which side of the scale do we want to fall on? Because there's pluses and minuses to both. But now it becomes a more logical decision. In those moments, you're not making a logical decision. It's based on emotion. And that emotion pushes you towards the thing that is pleasurable. So we always go towards pleasure and move away from pain. So anything that we do is inherently, we can assume that there's some form of pleasure involved in it, even if that pleasure is just ignoring an email that you don't want to think about. So now we can see, what is the positive I get out of this? What is the long-term negative? And then we can go one step further and ask, what is something else that I can do that is more constructive, that serves the same function? So a good example of this is with people who struggle with eating. Often, if we look at what is the good, someone will say, well, I ate a bunch of junk food, or I stopped my diet, or whatever it is. It's like, okay, what's the good that came at that? Well, I was really stressed out, and this helped distract me, or it helped take my mind off of things. Say, okay, great. So the positive we're looking for is a distraction. So we have, in that moment, eating a bunch of junk food actually is functional. I know that it's not the best in the long term because it's counter to your health goals, but it is functional in the sense that it's helping distract you from a negative feeling. And that's something that you wanted in that moment. But now, could we find something else that serves the same function, that distracts you, that takes your mind off of the stress, or even better, it could potentially relieve the stress, but that doesn't have the down the road negative impact of messing up your diet, messing up your health, making you feel bad, making you feel shame. So when we allow ourselves to see that everything is functional and everything, even negative events, are positive. That's why we do them. We only do things that are positive. It allows us to look at the reality of why we do things. Because when we think of things that's negative, we go, oh man, I just screwed up. Oh, I don't have self-esteem. I don't have willpower, whatever these dumb things are. No, you did it because there was a positive reason. You did it because it was functional in that moment. So now you look at it in that way, and you can see what else would be functional. So my action step for you this week is to look at things through a functional lens. Whatever you do, positive, negative, in between, anytime, especially you do something that you think, maybe I shouldn't have done that, ask yourself, what is the positive I got out of this? What is the function that this action served in that moment? And then see if it truly is negative. Is there a different function that you could have plugged in? And if this topic interests you, go check out the episode I did titled The Secret to Unlimited Motivation from Science. I've linked it in the show notes, and it builds perfectly from this episode. That is change made easy. Before you go, I want to talk to you. Literally. For the first time ever in over 12 years as a coach and 4 years doing this podcast, I'm opening up my schedule to help listeners like you for free. I'm offering a free coaching session to you as a thank you for supporting this show. I help people create their healthy habits and happy lives and create positive change around their health, wealth, and relationships. Whatever you're working on, mind, body, and soul, we can cover it all. If you're struggling, I want to help you build a plan to get through it and past it. So go into the show notes and click the link that says book a free call today. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep doing this, and my schedule will fill up. So if you want to take advantage, make it happen ASAP.